You don't sabotage because you're weak. You sabotage because a part of you is trying to protect you from a threat that no longer exists. You say you want success, love, peace. Yet every time it comes close, you push it away. This isn't inconsistency. It's internal war. A war between your conscious goals and unconscious wounds. What you think is self-destruction is actually self-preservation, orchestrated by the forgotten parts of you. A survival instinct is running on outdated scripts. It's not that you're scared of change, it's that you've been conditioned to distrust safety. Somewhere in you, protection still means staying small. There is a part of you that learned how to disappear. It hid your anger, your sadness, your truth, just to be accepted. Those unaccepted pieces didn't die. They simply went underground, buried, but alive. This hidden self grows stronger in silence, operating behind the scenes, shaping your reactions, fears, and choices. And as long as it stays unseen, it pulls the strings in secret. Until one day, you realize you don't fully know yourself. That scared, unseen part of you, the inner child, learned how to survive, not how to thrive. If success once meant pressure, or love meant abandonment, your psyche now equates pleasure with pain. So when good things come, your subconscious hits the brakes. Not because it hates you, but because it's scared you'll relive the wound. These self-sabotaging patterns aren't failures, they're strategies. Outdated ones, yes, but deeply rooted in your nervous system. Your system remembers every time love turned cold. It remembers the punishment that followed joy, and now it repeats protection patterns even when there's no danger left. Your mind develops armor long before it learns truth. To stay safe, it creates invisible shields: repression, denial, redirection. We don't just bury what's painful, we find ways to never feel it again. But what's suppressed doesn't stay still. It reshapes your habits, your responses, your sense of self. You don't need to be aware of it for it to be in control. These hidden responses become your emotional autopilot. What feels like instinct may be inherited pain, and what looks like procrastination may actually be protection. Self-sabotage wears many disguises: procrastination, perfectionism, toxic relationships. You call it bad timing, low energy, or not meant to be. But really, it's the shadow whispering, "Don't get too close to joy. You remember what happened last time." You rationalize the destruction because facing the truth feels heavier than failure itself. The ego, desperate to avoid shame, builds excuses so beautiful you start to believe them. You become loyal to old pain because it's predictable. Even chaos feels safe when it's familiar. And the worst part is, you don't even know you're doing it. The very thing you dream of may feel unsafe to a part of you. You want closeness, but fear it'll turn into abandonment. You want recognition, but fear being exposed. So even as you chase the light, something inside clings to the dark. That's not madness. It's memory. And until you rewire that memory, your future will be haunted by your past. What looks like fear of failure is often fear of success, because success demands vulnerability, and vulnerability has hurt before. You don't overcome your darkness by denying it. You grow by bringing it into light. The wounded parts of you don't need punishment. They need a witness. Shadow work isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about meeting what's been ignored. When you acknowledge what once felt unlovable, you start to feel whole. Healing begins when you sit with the version of you once rejected, when you no longer run from your own reflection. That's when the war ends. Resistance is not your enemy, it's a compass. The places where you hesitate most reveal where your healing lives. Avoidance is just pain, wearing a clever disguise. You fear writing the book, not because you're lazy, but because your voice was once silenced. You resist love not because you're cold, but because connection once meant pain. The trigger shows you where the wound still bleeds. Follow it, not to suffer, but to finally stop bleeding in silence. Facing yourself is not weakness, it's warriorship. To sit with your pain instead of numbing it, to feel the weight of your memories without collapsing, that is strength. Most people avoid shadow work because it feels like dying, and in a way, it is. The death of the masks, the lies, the roles you thought you had to play, The unraveling of everything you used to call you when it was really just protection. But something sacred is born in that stillness. A deeper breath, a softer truth, a quiet knowing. You meet the you that always lived beneath the noise, the you that didn't need to perform to be worthy, the one who doesn't chase validation because they remember their value, the one who isn't trying to become enough because they already are. And though the world may not understand this silent rising, this quiet revolution within you, you will know. You'll know it by the peace that no longer depends on perfection, by the power that comes, not from pretending, but from presence. This is what it means to return to yourself, not through force, but through the courage to feel. Healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to be less, before you learned to shrink to make others comfortable, before your sparkle was mistaken for too much, your silence for weakness, your boundaries for betrayal. The sabotage ends when compassion begins, when you stop seeing your defenses as flaws and start recognizing them as the clever architecture of survival. You were never weak for needing to protect yourself. You were wise, and that wisdom, born from pain, becomes power when it's no longer hidden in shame. The healing deepens when you stop blaming yourself for how you coped and begin honoring the child who did whatever it took to stay alive. The deeper you go, the more you realize you were never broken. You were simply carrying pain that didn't belong to you. Pain inherited, absorbed, and mistaken as identity. But now you see it clearly. You see the truth behind the wound, and that truth sets you free. You are not here to endlessly fix yourself. You are here to remember who you were before the forgetting. You are here to return, slowly, softly, to the wholeness that was never truly lost. And with each breath of compassion, with each decision to love yourself anyway, you reclaim what was always yours, the right to feel, to heal, to begin again. Not as someone new, but as the real you, finally coming home.